judgment, mercy, and moral lessons. Genesis chapter 19 is one of the most dramatic and morally complex chapters in the Bible. It narrates the destruction of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, the rescue of Lot and his family, and the tragic fate of Lot's wife. This chapter explores themes such as divine judgment, human wickedness, hospitality, mercy, and the consequences of disobedience. By examining these events, we gain insights into the nature of sin, the importance of righteousness, and the balance between justice and compassion in the biblical narrative. The chapter begins with two angels arriving in Sodom during the evening to visit Lot, Abraham's nephew, Genesis 19:1. Lot welcomes them into his home, demonstrating hospitality, a recurring theme in Genesis 18 as well, Genesis 19:2. However, the men of Sodom surround Lot's house and demand that he hand over his guests so they can know them, Genesis 19:4. This disturbing request highlights the extreme depravity and lack of hospitality in Sodom, contrasting sharply with Abraham's generous treatment of his visitors in Genesis 18. Lot's refusal to comply with the mob's demands illustrates his moral integrity and courage. Instead of abandoning his guests, he offers his two virgin daughters to the crowd, hoping to protect his guests, Genesis 19:8. While this action is ethically questionable by modern standards, it reflects the ancient Near Eastern cultural context where hospitality was paramount and Lot prioritizes the safety of his guests over his own family's well-being. Scholars like Terence E. Fretheim suggest that Lot's actions represent the complexities of righteousness in a corrupt society, where even good people must navigate morally ambiguous situations. The angels intervene by striking the men of Sodom with blindness, preventing them from finding the door, Genesis 19:5. They then urge Lot to gather his family and flee the city to avoid the impending divine judgment. Lot hesitates, prompting the angels to physically lead him and his family out of Sodom, Genesis 19:8-17. This miraculous rescue underscores the theme of divine mercy amidst judgment. The swift departure from the city highlights the urgency and severity of God's wrath against rampant sin and immorality. As Lot and his family flee, God declares that he will destroy Sodom and Gomorrah due to their grievous sins, Genesis 19:24-25. The destruction is described in vivid terms, with brimstone and fire raining down from heaven, obliterating the cities and all their inhabitants, Genesis 19:24. This catastrophic event serves as a powerful demonstration of divine judgment against extreme wickedness. Biblical scholars like Walter Brueggemann interpret this destruction as a warning against societal corruption and the consequences of turning away from God's commandments. During their escape, Lot's wife looks back at the burning cities despite the angels' clear instructions not to do so, Genesis 19:17. As a result, she is turned into a pillar of salt, symbolizing the peril of disobedience and longing for a sinful past. This tragic end serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of following divine guidance and the dangers of attachment to a corrupt environment. The story of Lot's wife has been widely discussed in theological circles, with some scholars viewing her as a representation of spiritual unfaithfulness or hesitation to fully embrace God's deliverance. The aftermath of Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction emphasizes the themes of mercy and justice. While the cities are utterly destroyed, Lot and his two daughters survive, representing a remnant that preserves life and faithfulness in the midst of widespread corruption. Quad. However, the survival of Lot's daughters also introduces complex moral questions, as they later engage in incestuous relationships to preserve their family line, Genesis 19:30-38. This continuation of the family line, despite its morally questionable actions, illustrates the tension between divine judgment and human fallibility. Genesis 19 also highlights the social and cultural norms of the ancient Near East, particularly regarding hospitality and the treatment of strangers. Lot's initial hospitality contrasts with the violent aggression of Sodom's inhabitants, reinforcing the biblical ideal of welcoming and protecting guests. The failure to uphold these values in Sodom contributes to the city's condemnation, reinforcing the importance of ethical behavior and community standards in maintaining societal integrity. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah serves as a pivotal moment in the biblical narrative, shaping the understanding of sin and divine retribution in later texts. The story underscores the belief that extreme wickedness cannot go unpunished and that God actively intervenes to uphold justice. At the same time, the rescue of Lot and his family exemplifies God's mercy and willingness to save the righteous from destruction. This duality of judgment and mercy is a recurring theme in the Bible, reflecting the complexity of divine nature and human morality. The moral lessons from Genesis 19 extend beyond the ancient context, offering timeless insights for contemporary readers. The importance of hospitality, the dangers of societal corruption, and the need for righteous living are as relevant today as they were in the past. Additionally, the story encourages believers to trust in God's protection and to act with integrity, even in the face of moral decay. The narrative also invites reflection on the consequences of disobedience and the importance of heeding divine guidance to avoid personal and communal downfall. The archaeological and historical perspectives on Sodom and Gomorrah add another layer of complexity to the narrative. While some scholars argue that these cities were real historical locations destroyed by natural disasters, others suggest that the story is primarily a theological and moral tale rather than a historical account. Regardless of their historical accuracy, the cities serve as powerful symbols of divine judgment against unrepentant sin, reinforcing the moral lessons intended by the biblical authors. In addition to its theological significance, Genesis 19 has had a profound impact on literature, art, and popular culture. The imagery of burning cities, the pillar of salt, and the themes of judgment and mercy have been depicted in various artistic mediums, illustrating the story's enduring resonance. These cultural representations help to keep the moral and spiritual lessons of the narrative alive, allowing each generation to engage with its themes in new and meaningful ways. Genesis 19 contributes to the broader narrative arc of Genesis, which explores the relationship between God and humanity, the consequences of sin, and the hope for redemption. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah sets the stage for subsequent events in the biblical story, including the continued journey of Abraham's descendants and the unfolding of God's covenant with them. This chapter thus plays a crucial role in shaping the theological foundations that underpin much of the rest of the Bible. Genesis chapter 19 is a multifaceted and richly layered passage that delves into themes of judgment, mercy, hospitality, and moral integrity. Through the dramatic story of Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction, Lot's rescue, and the fate of his wife, we are confronted with profound ethical and theological questions. The chapter serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of righteous living, the dangers of societal corruption, and the balance between divine justice and compassion. Supported by both biblical teachings and scholarly interpretations, Genesis 19 remains a vital and thought-provoking component of the biblical canon, offering timeless lessons for believers and readers alike.